Lori Colombe says, hi, is it 2,000 or 6,000 sales in a 6-month period to get ungated? So good question. It's nobody really knows. Okay. So what she's referring to is going after maximum approval on Amazon. Okay. So maximum approval is believed, to answer your question, is believed to be 2,000 sales in a 6-month period. And then once you hit that tier, and like I said, nobody really knows if this actually exists. It's just speculative. And people have said that when they roughly hit 2,000 sales in a 6-month period, they hit that imaginary maximum approval tier, right? And then you can just request to get ungated for any brand, and you get automatically accepted based on your sales history and your seller metrics, assuming your seller metrics are good at that point as well, right? And that is one way to basically bypass getting invoices for top brands. But to answer the question specifically, it is believed to be 2,000 sales in a 6-month period. Days Gone by Record says, hi Brian, I'm going to be drop shipping on Poshmark and I need to know if there's software available that checks the stock status for my product sources and automatically adjusts quantities as needed in my Poshmark account. For example, if my source is 6 p.m. for women's boots, will a software similar to Price Yak accurately and consistently track and adjust? So I basically know where this is going. He's asking if there's any software to basically track the Poshmark dropshipping business model. Now, no, not to my knowledge. It's not like dropshipping on eBay. It's not where you're going to be using a bunch of software. It's basically trial and error, and you're going to put in the upfront work and then see what works for you and then replicate it. So short answer is no, there aren't any to my knowledge, because you're not dropshipping on some platform like eBay where you can integrate software. You're using the Poshmark customers and the automation software to generate, potential leads and eyes on your listings, and then you're listing them from Amazon or other sites where you're getting 2-day or cheaper or faster shipping. So no, there's not any. One of the benefits of that business model is if you're willing to put the upfront work in, it's practically free money. However, it is work ahead of time. There's no software that's going to automate it for you. Now, there is Poshmark automation software that's going to share and kind of bring eyes to your closet, but not software that's going to, list for you or move listings over or, track inventory or anything like that. You have to set that up yourself. One of the things that I will add to that, though, is God forbid you list something and then it's out of stock on Amazon, right? You don't have to worry about that really on Poshmark, because you're allowed to cancel the occasional order here and there. They're not going to penalize you for that like eBay or Amazon will. So you don't really have to worry about that. But one thing I would say is go after, proven listings, high-rated listings, even listings with badges on Amazon. The reason being is that whole seller's, idea right there, right? Their whole purpose is to make sure that that item is in stock because it's clearly selling well. So chances are, if it's highly rated or if it has a badge, it will always be in stock, or more often than not, it will be in stock and you won't run into that issue. So moving on, Drew Peters says, quick random question. I got a coupon product. When I opened it, it had 2 unattached items. So it came with 2 different items as part of the 1-item set, right? How do I make it clear to Amazon? And he's referring to when he ships it into FBA. So he ordered a coupon product. It came with 2 different items in the thing that were supposed to be in the same set, right? And then how does he make it clear to Amazon when he sends it in to FBA, that is one product and it is a set? So that's a great question, Drew. My best advice for you to do basically make it clear to Amazon would be to polybag it, right? Put both the items in a polybag. You can get polybags super cheap on Amazon or super cheap online. Put them in the same polybag, close the polybag, seal it, and then put the ASIN barcode on the outside of the polybag. That will make it clear to Amazon when you send it into FBA that is a set and it is one product being sold as a set. So Monster Vodka says, does one already have to have the product? What if somebody purchases the book that you had super low? Or is that all real time and you literally made the price go down in minutes? And this is a question referring to the book inventory repricing video. Basically what I did in that video is I took advantage of another seller's repricing software and the fact that they weren't manually paying attention to it and they didn't have stopgaps in place to basically not go lower than a certain price point on their products, right? I happen to notice that because I manually adjust a lot of my prices when I send, valuable inventory into FBA, right? So what I did then is the price at the buy box was all the way up to 200, and they were slowly dropping their price like a cent or two below my price every time. So I dropped my price all the way down to $19. They dropped their price down to $19. I bought their book, and then I dropped my price. I raised my price all the way back up to 200, right? So now I'm going to make the 200. I completely kicked the other repricer off the listing, and I have another book coming in that I'm going to ship back into FBA and make that $200 margin potentially on, right? So he's basically asking, what if somebody purchased my book while I was doing that, or did I do that all in real time? So to answer your question, I did it all very, very fast. That's why I'm kind of rushing in the video to show you guys. If I wasn't making that video, I would have done it in like 10 seconds. That's why the video thumbnail says $150 in 10 seconds, because I would have literally dropped my price, monitored the buy box to see when they dropped their price, then I would have bought theirs or raised my price back up in a matter of seconds, right? So yes, it is always a risk when you do that and you're playing those kind of games on the buy box and adjusting prices against repricing software. So yeah, someone could have bought my book and someone could have also bought their book as well, but I did it so fast that obviously I took advantage of it and then I raised my price back up. So you do have to be careful when you're doing that. So Frank Parisi says, "Hey Brian, thanks for all the value you provide here. Any tips on avoiding fake IP complaints? I just made my first couple of sales and I'm running into this issue." So literally the next question is right on that one that I was talking about. So yeah, exactly what I just said in the last answer to Chloe. There are ways to avoid them, and basically the best ways to avoid them are don't scale up, and then obviously send in the PNG invoice of the order ID, of the PNG picture of the invoice on that specific ASIN and order ID to Amazon when they ask for it right away. Another great way is to just simply source products that sell quickly, and another trick to delete your inventory, right? So as soon as something sells, delete it out of your inventory so there's no history of it, and then that's a really great way so there's no, when Amazon does go through and file all the claims on that actual ASIN, it's no longer in your inventory so you won't get hit with it. Gurgly Kovacs says, "Okay, thank you for the video. I have a couple of questions. It would be great if you could help. What could I do if I don't live in any of the listed countries?" And he's referring to Extreme Rebate, I believe. Any of the listed countries, so the US, Germany, France, Italy, UK, etc., right? So should he ship them to a prep center in that country? How would I use a warehouse to store it? I imagine it would cost a lot while it's waiting for the sale, which would be weeks or months. So in this specific example, this is a good question. So you can do online arbitrage from anywhere in the world, right? And what I usually recommend is either source products on Amazon.com in the US and then use a US FBA prep center to ship into Amazon, right? So all your products are staying in the US, right? And that is specifically when you're focused on shipping into Amazon and reselling back on Amazon, right? So that's like your book arbitrage. That's like coupon arbitrage or cashback if you're shipping it into FBA and reselling on Amazon. Although, like I said, I try to steer people away from that nowadays. So that's like your books, that's like your bulk deal, that's like your wholesale, that's like your liquidation, that's all that other stuff. All that stuff can be used with a prep center within the US, and you don't have to ever have to touch the inventory. You just order from your location and then you manage your inventory on your laptop from your location. The prep center handles all the inventory, the receiving, the repackaging, the relabeling, the shipping to FBA for you for a slight fee, okay? So it's usually 50 cents to $1.50 depending on the prep center, and it's gonna cut into your profit margin a little bit, but it's worth it in a lot of ways, especially if you live outside the US. And even some people in the US elect to go this route as well because you don't have to spend the time to do all that stuff yourself, right? So it's worth it to some people. That said, it sounds like he's specifically talking about reselling back on he's specifically talking about cashback arbitrage. So he's talking about reselling back on eBay or Poshmark or Mercari, right? So in that specific aspect, what I would say to him is pick a different business model. If there's not an eBay in your local, depending on where he lives, he didn't specify. If there's not an eBay marketplace in your country, or there's not a marketplace to resell in your country, right? Then what I would recommend is picking a business model where you can utilize the Amazon FBA prep centers and you can order off Amazon and resell back on Amazon. So just to recap, that is your book arbitrage, your bulk deal arbitrage, your liquidation arbitrage, your wholesale arbitrage, etc. And then it doesn't matter your location, you can simply order to a prep center and then ship it into Amazon FBA and just manage everything on your Seller Central from your actual computer. So moving on, Amiz says, hello, Brian. Do you think it's ethical to sell others' products, right? So do you think it's ethical to sell other sellers' products? And I actually am going to read my response because I was going to answer this and I remember responding to this person. And they weren't like accusing me, but this is something that I get a lot from a lot of different people. So I really wanted to throw into this Q&A to make sure I hit it home. So I'm going to pop my response up on the screen as well, and I'll read it. So I'm assuming he's referring to the coupon arbitrage, which he was, because I remember this conversation. And in that case, yeah. Why wouldn't it be, right? Why wouldn't it be ethical? It's a free market. They're offering their products at a discount for buyers, and that is capitalism. They're literally driving the potential value of their products down by offering some of those products for free on cashback websites or for cheap on, on coupon websites or anything like that, right? To basically drive sales and potentially get reviews, right? So it's a give and take, right? They're literally driving down the value by giving their products away. So I get it from both sides, obviously, because I've been a private label seller and I understand the ranking process of ranking a private label, product listing and why it's important to do those types of things. That said, this idea that you shouldn't buy someone's product with a coupon code or, buy somebody's cashback product and then resell it out of some respect for that private label process literally makes zero sense to me, right? You owe nothing to that seller just because they listed their product on a coupon site. You owe nothing to that seller just because they listed their product on a cashback site. And this idea, this warped mentality, I believe, comes from private label sellers that are frustrated that people are buying their products, and I've been that person, so I get it, buying their products and reselling them on other places, right? So the fact that you should kind of respect that that's their product and you shouldn't resell it, A, is completely, I just don't understand, and B, it's unethical not to, because the first sale doctrine, and depending on where you live, that might be a little bit different. The first sale doctrine grants you reselling rights, so you are allowed legally to resell any product that you've gotten, okay? So you are allowed to resell it. I don't see any ethical dilemma with it, although I'm not here to force my beliefs on you. I'm just explaining it to you how I feel about it. So if you have an ethical dilemma about it, then you don't have to go that route, right? You can just focus on other forms of arbitrage. There's an arbitrage for everybody. You can focus on wholesale, liquidation, books, bulk deal, whatever you want. You don't have to do that. I see no issue with it, but to each their own, and you guys can make that decision for yourself. So Loving It says, is it allowed to use your Amazon Prime account for arbitrage purposes? And the answer is yes. So finally, Drew Peters has another great question. Not sure if I asked this on the channel, but what about if an item has a paid warranty? What happens if you ship an item like that to a buyer and then they ask for the warranty and request a new item? So this is also a great question, Drew. So in this specific example, he's talking about coupon arbitrage, and when you're hopping on a listing that has a warranty from that seller. So you don't have to worry about any warranties as a third-party seller, because the warranty is only valid to the person that basically initiates it. Same thing with a coupon code, right? So if you hop on the listing and win the buy box, nobody will be able to purchase the warranty anymore, and the warranty will be void from the third-party seller, okay? So you don't have to worry about warranties from a third-party seller.